Iran's Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi has been speaking to Euronews on the margins of a security conference in Munich. He answered questions about Israel, nuclear enrichment and the situation in Syria.
Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi, thanks very much for being with us here at Euronews. Iran and Syria say they're going to respond to the reported Israeli airstrike on a Syrian weapons base. Is that true?
Well, I have never heard of anybody saying that we will be responding. But what we have said is that what Israel has done is a serious issue. This airstrike is a kind of, I would call it, an intervention into the inflicting harm to another country and other people, which is not allowed by international conventions and by UN conventions. So what Israel has committed is against international rules and regulations. And it may have serious, I would say, consequences.
Such as?
Because when I say serious consequences is that Syria is in a very sensitive region. And if this crisis spills over to other countries, we will be facing with a huge fire that will burn wet and dry. And so this is a saying in my own language. When it says wet and dry, that is, everybody will be burned by the spillover of the crisis of Syria into other neighboring countries.
So how would that play out? Who would be the actors that are making this play?
So with such, I think, actions that has been taken by the Zionist regime.
Which they deny, for the sense of fairness, they do deny that they carried out this airstrike.
They do deny it?
Yeah.
No, they have admitted that they have made an airstrike on...
That's not what officials on the sidelines of the conference said to me. But
well, we are basing our information on what we have received from the Syrian government, also our information from what we have received. Even the UN has responded to this, the UN Secretary General. If this has not happened, how is it that the UN Secretary General has taken a position in this regard?
And so, just looking at Syria, if there is the fall of Assad, as many people in the West hope and expect to happen, what do you think will happen?
Certainly that will lead into a vacuum. And if there is a vacuum in Syria, the integrity of Syria will be undermined. And we will not be sure that Syria will be kept as an integrated country anymore. This will be a source of instability in the region. And that source of instability will initiate instabilities all over the region. It will even go as far as probably Central Asia, because the only way we think that could lead into the resolution of this issue is the government and the opposition sit down together and solve their problem within the Syrian community, within the Syrian people. In other words, we call it Syrian resolution of the issue. We should not expect that this issue be resolved through prescriptions written, ready-made prescriptions written outside Syria and then trying to be imposed on the Syrian people. That will not work.
US Vice President Joe Biden said earlier at this conference that the offer of direct negotiations with America remains open if Iran is serious about that. Are you serious about it? Would you welcome that?
When it comes to negotiations on certain subjects, thematic negotiations, I would call it, this time nuclear negotiation, there is no, I would say, red line on this.
I was about to ask you what your red lines were.
But this negotiation can only take place when we get enough assurances that this time the U.S. comes forward with honest intention, because and the our previous experiences, unfortunately, have shown the opposite.
Is that what made you decide to continue with the enrichment program? Because, I mean, let's just imagine, put myself in the Iranians' position, and let's say, for the sake of argument, that you are seeking the capacity for an atomic weapon, and you hear Obama's nominee for Secretary of Defense, Chuck Hagel, talking about all the old expressions, you know, every option is on the table, including the military option. Perhaps Israel has a nuclear weapon. You look at US action in the region, and perhaps, based on this argument, that is why you would proceed down that path. It's a question of survival.
We have said it always, right from the beginning, that the nuclear weapon has no place in our defense doctrine for a number of reasons. One reason is because of our religious tenets and principles, of our beliefs. Also, our leader has issued a fatwa, a religious decree, that would forbid anybody to go into nuclear weapons development in my country. The other aspect, when we look at it from the pragmatic point of view, okay, suppose Iran develops 1 or 2, 3, 4 rudimentary bombs. Can it really compete with a country like the US in this regard? Can it be on par with any other country that has been in this domain of developing nuclear weapons for decades? Certainly that will not be a deterrent for us. So, because with our neighbors we have no problem.
Many so-called experts state very frequently in Western media and elsewhere that Iranian foreign policy is to wipe Israel off the map. So I'm just looking for a very clear and unequivocal statement that is completely false.
You see, we do not recognize the state of Israel, but never ever we have spoken of obliterating people. This is as when I said, when it comes to using weapons of mass destruction, we have completely denied ourselves of this right.
Will you run for the presidency of Iran? Is that a job that you want?
No, I'm not fit for that job.
So you rule yourself out. We won't be seeing you at the next elections as a candidate.
Well, I don't know if I will be phased out. It depends on the president who comes. He may keep me, he may not keep me. So.
Okay, well, Mr. Salehi, thank you very much for being with us here on News.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.